Well guys, we're out in the shop again today, and wish I could say it was a beautiful day in Florida like what Taylor Ray says on his LS Miata build videos, but it is a crappy day in Wisconsin. It's snowing, crappy, not very nice out, so good day to be in the shop, I guess, working on the Miata. And today's video, I'm going to talk about the wiring. Now I've been working on this wiring for quite a while now. Mostly the chassis harness, body harness I guess you could say. Kind of got it back in the car, but I figured I'd show you guys exactly what went into this. Kind of help guys out with their swaps. I briefly mentioned it in a previous video that I took out this pile of wiring here, but I figure I'll break it down and show you basically exactly what I took out. So obviously, I mean, when you're swapping an LS into one of these, you don't need the ECU to control that 4-cylinder engine anymore. So this is the ECU out of the stock Miata. It's right under the steering column basically. And then the harness for the engine. So all of that can come out. And then basically anything related to the engine I decided to take out. So all of my fan relays, second fan, the fuel pump relay, anything related to the fans I took out. This is the diagnostic port, the stock engine, don't need that. Anything emissions related, these are all EGR crap. We don't have any emissions testing in Wisconsin here where I live, so we don't need that. AC, the car was never going to have AC again. So, well, this is washer fluid, I guess, but that's going too. AC, gone. AC, gone. Secondary O2 sensor, gone. More wiring for the relays for the fans. So that's kind of the bulk stuff that I took out. And then obviously a rat's nest of wiring that came along with it. Now, I figured I would explain this too, kind of when you cut one of these plugs off, like say this one here, you cut this off the harness, well then you're left with a couple wires in the harness still. So you're going to trace those back. A lot of times they'll come to a connector somewhere else in the harness, and you're going to want to depin it with a little flathead screwdriver. So you'll stick the screwdriver in and pop these pins out. So then that'll completely remove the wire from your harness. That's basically what a lot of these are. It's just wires that when I cut off a main connector, when I traced it back, a lot of them went all the way through the harness to the other side pretty much. You know, you're left with a bunch of random wires, but you just have to depin it at the other side. So it's really not that complicated. It looks like a huge mess and it looks kind of scary, but it's really pretty simple. So basically what I did was I wanted to make it a separate engine harness and body harness, which I mean the Miata harness is kind of separate already, but they do interchange a little bit. This plug here goes to the body harness of the car, so that, I mean, that's just for your gauges and signals for the fans or whatever else it needs. So the first step in determining all of this stuff here was I printed off these wiring schematics. So I separated them out. This one's for the engine, this one's for the body. I went through, figured out what everything was, and then I took yellow tape and green tape, and I went through and taped off everything. Everything in green was remove. Everything with yellow was keep. Well, at the time it was keep. Some of this stuff I've changed up my plan as I went along. I was originally going to leave the stock Miata fan relays in the car, and then decided later on to just put in some aftermarket ones instead. So I'll show you those, what we got going on here. For the fuel pump, I ordered this Works fuel pump relay. It's pretty nice I ordered that from Modern Automotive Performance over in Minnesota. So I got that in like a day or so. So that's for the fuel pump, like I said. And then for the fans, on Summit Racing, I ordered this Ron Francis dual fan wiring relay kit, I guess. So that'll be able to run both fans. So that'll take care of the fans, the fuel pump, and I will mount those in the trunk, I think. That's my plan for now. Mount them right over here somewhere. Since the battery is right there, I can just tap into the battery from right there. That'll be a pretty clean setup. I can tuck them back behind the trunk carpet, I guess. And then I got my fuel pump wire separated out on this side. It comes out of this connector here, and this plugs in back in here. So I'm just going to take this fuel pump wire, run that, I'll tuck it into this wiring here, run that back into the trunk, tap into that fuel pump relay. So to kind of show you what's left of the body harness here, it's thinned out quite a bit. Obviously, I mean, you need the fuse box for everything inside the car. I basically wanted to make this harness just for the body. I wanted it to run the lights, interior and exterior lights, power windows, anything like that. I wanted this to run that, and the engine harness will take care of itself. Now I've got the Holley Terminator harness for the engine coming into the firewall here. It's pretty long for this car, but I'll tuck it under the dash nicely. And I made that bracket for the fuse box and the Terminator to mount to, so that'll tuck up under the glove box here pretty nicely. And like I said, I got rid of all the fuel pump wiring, the fan relays, and I'm going to mount all that in the trunk. So all that wiring that I'm going to run is going to come through here, tuck behind there, and run along the passenger side of the car here, come up to the front, and then it'll run through the firewall into the engine bay. This is the wiring for the steering column. I didn't touch any of that. Basically, this is for the gauge cluster, which I'm not going to be using anymore. I'm going to be running the Holley digital dash instead. Just be easier for the speedometer and tachometer. And then down here this is just headlight wiring that I have to run through the firewall yet. I already ran it through on this side, and that came out on through the fender well. So yeah, like I said, that wiring comes through the fender well here, and basically all of this, I haven't even touched this yet, other than taking out these ground wires from the bulk connector piece. So all of these will have to be extended. I'll run them up here to the headlights. I basically just want to keep it clean. And so yeah, I might have mentioned the engine harness. I'm just kind of starting to run that now. That comes through that hole in the firewall, just like factory. So like I said, just removing this stuff. I mean, these are the main components. I pulled all the wiring out from headlights to taillights. There was no wiring left in the car. Laid it on the floor. And just sorted it out. Like I said, yellow and green tape, labeled everything that I needed and didn't need, and then dissected it from there and took it all out. So it's not too bad. You just gotta kind of understand what everything is and make sure you label it, take your time, and it's pretty straightforward. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment or ask. I'm be willing to help you out. Thanks.